Well, good morning, everybody, and a warm one it is too. We welcome you to the Algarve in Portugal for the round one of the International GT Open 2025 season. And here we're about to lay down the foundations of what will be, I'm sure, an astonishing championship. 17 degrees air temperature, 58% humidity, 14-degree track temperature as well. But it's going to rise as now 30-plus cars make their way out onto the circuit, and it's going to be a momentous season as well. With the new tyre compound coming in from Michelin. Of course, Michelin also, last season, if you remember correctly, back at Monza, agreeing to continue the relationship with the International GT Open for another 3 years, which is fabulous to see as we now witness the cars in the pit lane. Some issues, it would seem, maybe a little bit of contact between the Vimana by Get Speed, just looking to wheel the car away from the AF Corsa just sat in front. But plenty of others now making their way out onto the circuit. Also a momentous weekend because aside from the 30-plus cars that we do have confirmed for the full season championship, we'll run through those later on. We're also witnessing what will be the 300th race in the International GT Open this weekend. And not only that, we have got the 20th season campaign in the International GT Open as well. We're celebrating that this year.
Yeah, so it looked like Gino Forgione there was conked out in pit lane, and the Vimana car was having to get wheeled back by the Get Speed crew. So early dramas for AF Corsa, but you're right, George, there is so much to look forward to in this 20th season of the International GT Open. A huge array of different teams and manufacturers getting ready to fight for not only the overall championship, but of course the Pro-Am and the AM classification as well. We've got big presence from Motor Park in the Pro standings. Get Speed has upped their entries in the Pro category as well to 2 cars. So the 82 joining the usual Bartone Bros cars that we see, and with a little bit of manufacturer support as well, with some very good drivers that will be joining the various crews. Of course, the full-time entry now from Greystone GT in the Pro category. So our GT Open 500 winners at Monza, James Kell and Dean MacDonald here for the full season. Basically, it is a who's who of GT racing right now, but 2 really interesting entries. The number 4 Optimum McLaren and the first ever GT3 campaign for Elite Motorsport in their Ferrari 296. Both of those cars have got 2 young GT4 graduates in their cars. Yeah, certainly do. Of course, we've got to talk about the incredible lineup at Elite Motorsport that obviously went on to be so successful in GT4 already. The likes of Tom Leben stepping up alongside Emsom as well. But now, as we watch the cars make their way around this circuit, just to correct my point from earlier on, it is indeed a 300th race in the International GT Open this season, but that won't come until Hungaroring later on in the year, so it won't be this weekend, but it will be this season, so make sure you stay tuned when that rolls around later in the campaign. But green flags are alight. We've got 21 minutes and 35 to take you through. At the moment, they're just warming themselves up ahead of the new season. If we go back over the realms of the lore of us visiting the Portimao circuit, the first time we came here in the International GT Open was all the way back in 2009, when Gianluca Roda and Ricard Lietz would go on to take the first race victory, with Marcel Fazler and Joel Camathias taking the second race win, and all the way here into 2025. We, of course, last 2 seasons also raced here. Last season's winners obviously being Anthony Bartone, Fabian Schiller in race 1, Dominic Baumann and Mikael Pitamba went on to take Q2 pole position, but again it'd be Ifazal Zubair, Mikael Grenier taking victory. Basically, what I'm about to tell you, Mercedes were a dominant force last year, and that trend has continued, because let's talk about free practice. Well, let me lay it down for you. FP1, Valentin Pierberg and Dominic Baumann. Welcome back, Dominic Baumann, to the series as well again, alongside Valentin Pierberg, who has also tasted championship glory in class as well in the past. A 141.721. FP2, slightly different. We did have, of course, Hash and Alex Fontana raising the stakes for Car Collection Porsche with a 142.247. But Mercedes came back again with FP3, the bronze test, where we witnessed Steve Jans and Aaron Walker pairing. They, of course, went fastest once again in a Get Speed Mercedes with a 142.650. So expect Mercedes to be red hot here at the Algarve. And of course, everyone is having to adjust back to this Michelin tyre. Extended deal with Michelin to run through to 2027. They've been supplying for the GT Open since 2015. But we're back on the same tyre that we used back in 2022, I believe it was. So for a lot of these teams, they've not run this compound before. For the teams that were here in 2022, the cars have changed an awful lot since then as well. So there's a big adjustment period, and basically this weekend is about who can get on top of these tyres. But certainly at the moment, the Mercedes are going very, very well here. Nicholas Cruton joining the Team Motorpark ranks in their number 13 car, having driven BMWs for the last 3 years. So this is going to be a slightly new experience for him. He was racing in Super GT last year, but a Gold Cup champion of GT World Challenge, and he's actually been partnered with Robert Visoyu, who's coming out of retirement to race in GTs. He's been stagnant for 7 years, but at the end of last year did an LMP3 race in France. I was there. I can tell you he's lost none of his mojo, and of course the former F2 racer now back in action as we're on board with the AF Corsa number 51 car. That's an all-new lineup for their pro effort this year. Tommaso Mosca, the gold-rated Italian, two-time Italian GT endurance champion. Last year was actually running with Giancarlo Fisichella and Arthur Leclerc, so he was in very good company, and he'll be joined this year by the former Isotta Fraschini World Endurance Championship hypercar driver Carl Bennett.
Yeah, obviously going back to Robert Visoyu, mentioning his junior single-seater career, he was once teammates as well with Carlos Sainz and Daniel Kvyat all the way back then as well. So quite a team, no less, back then, but now here racing in the International GT Open for the 2025 campaign. Matteo Cairoli has now gone into first fastest. Of course, the former Porsche driver, Chris, and a little bit of a different car this time.
Well, yes, so the last time we saw him in the International GT Open, he was still a Porsche factory driver. Left Lamborghini for their prototype campaign in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship and the World Endurance Championship. That, of course, didn't go very far. And so after a year at Lamborghini, he's left them. He's now working with Mercedes on their World Endurance Championship, so their LM GT3 car, which debuted this year with the Iron Lynx crew. So not a Mercedes factory driver, but increasing his ties with the German manufacturer. And he's sort of a stand-in. So Levente Revesh will be the regular driver in that number 11 car that's provisionally fastest. It's Maxi Goertz who's going to be the regular teammate to Revesh. But Goertz has got probably the busiest racing program I've ever seen. There's not a continent that he's not racing on. He's probably got a race in Antarctica at some point this year. So Matteo Cairoli will be stepping in for those rounds.
Yeah, Fabian Schiller also marking his reappearance as well, sending himself second fastest. Was incidentally a race winner back here in 2023, and then went on to take pole as well in Q2 going back that same year. So he's also enlisted his fair own share of success. Again, it was Mercedes dominant back that year too. So once again, we're seeing it once more unfold as we now ride on board with a Get Speed machine heading out of the very, very tight Tour of Ip section.
Think back to Motorpark as well, because their one and only win came here a couple of years ago, didn't it? So we're on board with the Mercedes, and yeah, I thought that looked like the Bartone Bros livery. It is Fabi Schiller that we're on board with, who's currently second fastest. While we were looking at that, Carol Bash in Olymp's brand new Ferrari 296 for the 777 car, switching over from Audi machinery. Yeah, exactly. But he's gone third fastest overall, fastest of the Pro-Am runners. And I was thinking about this actually, because of course Lamborghini are switching over to twin-turbo V8 for the new Temimura, which is coming in next year, and the Audis, we're seeing fewer of them on the grid. We still do have a couple from ISR, and of course the reigning champions at East Talent Racing, Simon Riker and Chris Haase. Yeah, enjoy that Feed 10 soundtrack while it lasts, basically, for this year.
Well, we also say welcome back to Steve Jans as well, who last partnered Janine Schaffner back in 2022, seventh fastest, also in a Mercedes. Dee McDonald has also popped himself into second fastest. We're expecting that team up to obviously be quite an imposing partnership, I think, for this season of Dean McDonald, James Kell representing for the McLaren 720S. Cruton now dropped down to 5th, just behind Carol Bash, Tommaso Mosca. Mikey Porter up into 7th fastest. Again, it's going to be a voyage for discovery for the partnership of Zach Meakin and Mikey Porter, but did so well in GT4 European Series, in the Silver Cup class last year, in British GT, where he finished 2nd also that same year too, and prior to that raced in Ginetta Juniors, but shares a very similar rise as Zach Meakin, so the two of them uniting here in the GT Open.
3 factory drivers in the top 3 at the moment, split by 0.08 of a second, so Mercedes, Cairoli's not a factory driver, is he? Okay, so 1 affiliated driver and 2 factory drivers, split by 0.08 of a second. Cairoli, McDonald, Schiller, that's good company to being up at the front of the field, and Yannick Mettler slotting into 4th position at the moment and nabbing provisional Pro-Am pole away from Carol Bash by less than 1/10 of a second. Let's see what the McLaren can do. It was such a big effort for Greystone to put a pro effort in for the second half of last season. They may have downsized from 3 cars to 1, but if this is the one they're keeping, then we're very excited to see it back out on track as McDonald drives it up towards the timing line, and it is 2nd for now still, so didn't actually manage to improve on his previous lap time. We are just about into the 1-minute 40s, so really smashing the times we saw in free practice, because even though this is the one round where they get given new tyres for free practice, because normally you'd be running on old tyres, but this is the first round.
Yeah.
So you do get them, but they still will be using a mixture of new and old tyres throughout the sessions. So it's so hard to read when did they go out on new tyres, which time is good. Were there any track limits infringements as well? Track limits infringements are coming up on the screen all the time. There were 329 laps deleted across the 2 free practice sessions and the bronze test yesterday. So keep an eye out for those where they're being monitored at turns 1 and 4.
Yeah, absolutely right. Fabian Schiller, though, going purple again in the first sector. Yannick Mettler, we welcome him back alongside Dexter Muller. And he's going green in the first 2 sectors, looking to rise himself from 17th and pops up into 6th in the AMG. But back with Schiller now. We ride on board with him as he makes his way uphill and looking to once again tickle the top end. He's 3rd at the moment and could yet topple Cairoli. 800ths now inside are the top 3 within each other at the very top of the shop. Carol Bash then down in 4th in his brand new Ferrari 296 GT3 as well. Tommaso Mosca went 5th fastest earlier on as well. Tom Leben, welcome to the championship, 6th fastest as well. Of course, Chloe Grant, his partner, will be watching on as well, and I'm sure supporting him too. Fabian Schiller, though, coming down now towards the final corner, the Galp corner to come. Let's see where he's going to go. Coming out of turn 15, he'll then sweep his way up towards the line, finding yet more improvements in that middle sector is the German Anthony Bartu, and I'm sure be watching on willingly as Fabian Schiller goes to the top with a 140, 8.55 and 98 thousandths, nearly a whole 1/10 of a second faster than Matteo Cairoli.
So it's 1 up to Get Speed at the moment against Motor Park. I'm sure that's going to and fro throughout the whole weekend with Greystone in 3rd. I think a couple of those laps from Yannick Mettler have been deleted because he's plummeted back down the order again. And most of the teams do have their AM driver in at the moment, although Luca Ludwig is currently out there in Mertal Motorsports GT3 debut, as they've been winning championships in the GT Cup Europe, the younger sibling to the International GT Open, with their Ferrari 488 Challenge machinery. They've now got a Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo car that they're contesting throughout the whole season. This Vimana by Getspeed car, Amir Naran currently at the wheel of it. New colours for them, and that is a fan-designed livery with their partners at Metamark and, of course, Vimana as well. So that's really nice to see. The fans getting involved there, and it's a great-looking car it is too.
Yeah, certainly is. Also, we got to welcome back, alongside Vimana by Getspeed, we welcome back Miguel Ramos to the championship as well. And certainly an icon of this series, has been part of it for such a long time. A former champion, last taking a championship back in 2020, being the overall champion. Actually leads the total overall wins per driver alongside Andrea Montemini. They both currently stand at 20 thus far. And in terms of race starts, no one has more. Coming into this weekend, 146 and stands ahead of Andrea Montemini and Michele Rugolo, who will also be racing here this season. So welcome back, Miguel Ramos, and this time in a different circumstance, AM class alongside, of course, Samson, who will be alongside sharing the car with him for the course of the campaign. So we'll see, I'm sure, as to how they're going to get on. Mark Sanson, of course, taking part in the Golf 12 Hours in 2024. Also GT World Challenge Endurance in the European side. 2024 as well. British GT was a silver AM champion as well in his own right back in 2023. And there's Ramos right now, currently operating 10th place inside the top 10 and highest of the AM runners.
Yeah, so another new entry for this year, Garage 59. We welcome them back to the championship.
A very strong McLaren for this season.
Yes, there is. There are 3 McLarens on the grid for this year. It is obviously not the most represented manufacturer. Of course, we lost a few Greystone cars, but of course we have Optimum Motorsports back in the championship as well. And so
just more teams.
Of the 3, yeah, of the 3, 2 of them are in the pro class. So that's definitely going to be great in terms of the overall fight, because we'll have Audi, McLaren, Mercedes, Lamborghini and Ferrari all represented in the pro category, fighting for overall wins.
Yeah, Miguel Ramos just having a new set of boots now applied to the car. Garage 59 hard at work, just ensuring that they're set and ready to go for the final 8 minutes and 30. So plenty of time to nestle in a faster lap, but it's all Fabian Schiller as it stands, as we now watch and pan across this grid. This is the Matteo Cairoli car that is currently standing in the pit lane, partnered with Levente Ravesh, Chris.
Yes, so if you want to tell the motorpark cars apart, it's blue trim, so the headlights and the wing mirrors for the number 11 of Levente Ravesh and Matteo Cairoli that we were just looking at, and then it's a sort of a luminescent yellowy green for the 13 of Robert Visoyu and Nicholas Cruton.
Yeah. Now watching Antoine Doquin make his way up out of Tora Vip, now heading uphill. Oregon team, who have had such an extraordinary legacy in this championship in their own right, have actually taken 2 teams titles in the last 3 seasons. In fact, the first one coming back in 2022, where we witnessed that immense championship fight, of course, between Benjamin Hites, Leonardo Polcini, and, of course, the Optimum Motorsport McLaren that was being driven by Joe Osborne and Nick Moss. And it all went to the final day at Barcelona, with Team Oregon taking the spoils in the team's championship. Not quite as fortunate, though, the following year. It was East Lane Racing who arrived on the scene in 2023 and also won the team's crown. They went on to do one better in 2024 in terms of the Drivers' Championship with Simon Riker and Christopher Haase. And Oregon team also took the team's title last year as well. So they'll be looking to do the same, but a very different lineup this year, Chris.
Yeah, and Dokan there in his first, I guess, proper GT3 campaign. He did do GT World Challenge Endurance with Barwell last year alongside the European Le Mans Series. And then really he's only done sort of a handful of races, whereas now he's fully focused on the GT3 stuff. And with, 16 races we have this year, so it'll be quite a lot for him to get on top of.
I actually got talking to Jerry Canavicio during yesterday's free practice sessions, and he said that the first initial races are going to be sort of the building block period. He understands their current situation as a team right now, as we now watch Tommaso Bosca make his way towards the line. Actually put in a purple middle sector over the course of this lap and managed to find a 10th. Only 5th fastest for now. We do have other improvements around Lewis Michael Dorbecker. We were just watching him make his way around the circuit. He's found some time in the first sector as well. Not to mention, we've got plenty of other cars also looking to rein in improvements, and I'm sure in the next 6 minutes we will see plenty more of them. But yeah, at the moment, it is all Schiller. Cairoli in second, McDonald in third, Mercedes 1 and 2, with McLaren in third.
We're on board here with Mosca, going into the hairpin at Tora Vip. The gold-rated driver, as we mentioned, coming out of Carrera Cup before moving into Italian GT. And so this is his second year racing the 296 version of the Ferrari. Did a couple of outings with AF Corsa at the Spa 24 Hours last year and in Italian GT Sprint category. So he's been able to get a little bit familiar with the team, and this lap he's on so far, it's not lighting up the timing screen, but it is currently good enough to beat Fabi's time, as long as he can get it underneath in the final sector. And so this is the last meaningful corner on the racetrack, as you tend to go flat out through the final corner at Gulp, which is what you tend to do when you head into it. Gulp and hit the bump there in the middle. Yeah, exactly. And you can see building up the speed there, over 230 kilometers an hour as he heads up towards the timing line. 240 when he goes up there. He finds one spot, moves up to 4th position, and it is now just 0.2 of a second that separates the top 4.
Yeah, improvements also for D. McDonald's gone purple in the middle sector, so has ripped that away from Tommaso Mosca, and on top of that has gone green in the first sector. So I'm sure we'll be checking out the McLaren 720S, and indeed we will, because D. McDonald has stolen P1 away from Fabian Schiller now crossing the line. So that's an improvement in sector 3 for the 33 Macca.
Great stuff there from the McLaren factory driver, the Scotsman, who's been running so well, gold-rated driver as well, sharing that car with James Kell. And if Greystone managed to plant the flag on pole position, their first
Could you imagine the
outing,
impact?
yeah,
and a Mercedes circuit that has been so Mercedes orientated over the last couple of years, for a McLaren to turn up. But he's gone green again in the first sector.
Yeah, he's still finding time out there, and he's pulled 0.3 of a second on Fabi as well. But let's wait and see, because we've still got just under 4 minutes left on the clock, and I'm sure Fabi's building up to one as well. Yeah, he's just gone fastest in the first sector, has the Bartone Bros Mercedes. So, and a personal best for Mikey Porter, who's gone 3rd quickest in the Optimum McLaren. And so Mikey Porter, in his first full season of GT3 competition. We saw them debut at the GT Open 500 at Monza. He did a couple of the Middle Eastern Trophy races, Dubai 24 hours and the Abu Dhabi 6 hours with the Optimum team to get up to speed, but he's still so green. So McDonald's gone fastest in the middle sector as well, but Schilly's lighting up the timing screen at the moment. So here is the Greystone GT McLaren. Dean McDonald currently on provisional pole position, fastest in the middle sector. He's got Fabi chasing him. Cairoli's gone 2nd fastest while we've been watching McDonald as well. So it's all kicking off in the closing stages of this qualifying session. Might be getting a cheeky little toe from the Ferrari there. McDonald lowers the benchmark even further, puts 0.2 between himself and Cairoli. So a 1:40.310. Here's Fabi Schiller though. It was a fastest in the first sector, and it's fastest overall by 1/4 of a second to Dean McDonald. Fabi back on top.
Yeah, 2 purple sectors over that last lap. He did it in the first, did it in the third. Dean McDonald did take the 2nd purple sector. Quite a golf though, a reasonable golf in sector 3 between McDonald and Schiller, stretching to beyond a 1/10 of a second, very nearly 2/10. McDonald's losing out in that final sector, so maybe that's where the Mercedes certainly opens up. I think heading down that long straight definitely does pack quite the grunt, and Fabian Schiller providing that here for the Bartone brothers. Get speed Mercedes right now, but Matteo Cairoli's not done either. Personal best in the first sector for him.
Remember, George, the Mercedes is front engine, the McLaren is mid-engine, and so the way it works on this circuit in particular, the front engine cars seem to be going really well, but you can't say the McLaren's doing badly either, because it's currently Mercedes, McLaren.
They've been swapping right through the course in the top 3. Initially, there were 2 Mercedes, 1 McLaren. Then it became 2 McLarens, 1 Mercedes inside the top 3.
Yeah.
Matteo Cairoli, 2 personal bests in a row. Mikey Porter's done the same. So the times are going to keep cascading downwards as now we watch as they sprint down through towards the line once more. We got more cars now looking to thoroughfare their way onwards. Cairoli still remaining 3rd fastest as he crosses the line, but we have got Mikey Porter also, 31.6 in the first sector, not quite as fast as Cairoli. The middle sector, though, was faster than Matteo Cairoli with a 31.765. Can Mikey Porter make his way up towards, like you said, he does 4th fastest, will not improve just yet, but there's still time to go, 50 seconds left.
Cairoli's going to get traffic on this lap, so I don't think he's going to improve, as Nicholas Cruton here in his first race for Mercedes, going through on the final lap, and Schiller, yeah, he didn't improve, and he's backed out of this one, so a 1:40.015 is the benchmark. Can anyone try and topple that? McDonald has got a personal best in the first sector. It's still about a 1/10 of a second away from what Schiller was doing, but McDonald is currently on an improvement, and he also bested his speed trap as well. 261 kilometers an hour as he headed into turn 1 on that lap. 10 seconds left on the clock, so let's just keep an eye on what McDonald's doing.
Yeah, Yannick Mettler also with 2 personal bests, looking to improve from 8th fastest.
Oh,
as
now goes
to cross the
Pro-Am
line.
pole.
Yeah, goes Pro-Am pole and also 4th fastest, so that's another Mercedes inside the top 4.
He left that late.
He certainly did, but I must say, any time is good as far as Yannick Mettler's concerned, and I'm sure Dexter Buller would agree as well. No improvement in the middle sector for Dean McDonald, unfortunately, 32.2, and is currently, well, that middle sector is actually slower than Yannick Mettler's personal best on his last lap, so it looks like it's going to fall into the hands of Fabian Schiller and Anthony Bartone as he looks to come across, but Yannick Mettler, again, improving in that first sector.
Yeah, so he's still not done just yet. And, of course, he was battling with Karabash for the Pro-Am pole, but had his lap times deleted. Hopefully that one sticks for the car barn by SBS Mercedes. SBS, both their cars in Pro-Am 4 this year. Checkered flag is now out. McDonald bailed for pit lane. And so it will be the number 9 Bartone Bros Get Speed car of Fabian Schiller that starts the first race of the season from pole position ahead of the Greystone GT of Dean McDonald. Motor Park right in there as well with Matteo Cairoli and then SPS. So it might be some Mercedes and McLarens up at the front of the field, but 4 different teams involved in there as well.
Yeah.
5, in fact, even. Sorry.
Yannick Mettler also once again improving in the middle sector as well. It's done a 31.904. So looking to bring a real, should we say, a firecracker finish to preceding Searing Q1. Let's see where Mettler can land the blow. Can he go any higher than 4th fastest coming up towards the line? Can he tip Cairoli? Not quite. Will remain where he is, but still nonetheless an astonishing performance from the Carbahn SBS Performance Mercedes. Is now wheeled into the garage goes the Get Speed Performance belonging to Anthony Bartone. Fabian Schiller behind the wheel, of course, of this one for the first session of qualifying. That's his 2nd pole position in the last 3 years here at Portimao for Fabian Schiller. Did it, as I said before, Q2 it was back in 2023, and has now returned again, this time a pole sitter once more here in 2025, and will go on record as our first pole sitter of the 2025 season. Out of the car he gets, and I'm sure much to the delight of the SPS Performance, Get Speed Performance team. They'll now be celebrating duly after that one, and looking to come back once more as they did last season as race winners in race 1 later on this afternoon. Here is the classification. Fabian Schiller confirmed as your pole sitter ahead of race 1, the first race of the GT Open 2025 season. Dean McDonald, a fantastic effort, 2nd fastest. Matteo Cairoli in 3rd. Yannick Mettler 4th, and topping the Pro-Am with Mikey Porter, Nicholas Cruton, Carol Bash, Tommaso Mosca, Brenton Grove in 9th. Tom Leben qualifying in 10th place for Elite Motorsport. Welcome back Steve Jans as well, 11th fastest, with Simon Riker down in 12th. Miguel Ramos, so welcome back to a legend who will top the AM drivers here in qualifying, 13th. Valentin Pierberg, Antoine Dockwin, as well as Luca Ludwig, then Marcus Pavarud, and then Philip Ugran, who returns to GT Sport competition. Heiko Neumann in 19th. Uden Gudmundsson as well down in 20th. Lewis Michael Dorbecker down in 21st. Libor Milotta 22nd. Marcelo Ramirez down in 23rd. Hash. Johannes Zelger. Maxim Kizilov in 26th. Laurent de Meas 27th. Gino Forgione. Alfredo Hernandez. Amir Naran line up 28th, 29th and 30th with Stanislav Jedlinski in 31st. But we're going to head down with an interview with Schiller.
Fabian Schiller, you are the first poleman of the 2025 International GT Open here in Portimao.
Yeah, good start to the season. Feel like it's a common thing, you know, beginning of the seasons we meet here, and it's been 3 poles in a row, I think, for the last 3 years. So, yeah, it's a good start. Competition is getting tougher each year, so yeah, it's definitely good to start from pole because there's some strong driver pairings on the grid and some strong cars, but today our Mercedes AMG from GetSpeed was amazing once again. You know, we had a lot of grip. The car felt amazing. I had a very, very good lap at the end there in Qualy, and yeah, good to start from pole.
And we don't remember if it was you on pole, but I think so last year. But certainly you won last year. So Portimao is a good place, a good track. You like it, and it's good for Mercedes.
Yeah, definitely. Our car usually works on every track, you know, but here it kind of jails with the mid to high speed corners and the up and down. It's a fun track. Great fun, and yeah, good starting position. I think the race will be tough as always. You know, there's good competition from behind, but starting from the front is a good start, and yeah, should be okay.
We'll see later. All the best. Well done for now.
We will certainly see how it unfolds for Fabian Schiller and Anthony Bartone. Join us at 2:45 here live from Portimao.